I have lived in this city for so long that it's not often that you can get to this place and actually speak about what's wrong with the city. But I've lived here. I'm a provincial Bangalorean, and I can tell you two things with a fair amount of certainty. Nobody is going to leave this city, not for a while. They can come, they'll groan and whine and crib, and they'll be looking for apartments to buy, and they are not going to leave. And I don't know whether Bangalore is the best city or the 50th city in India. It's of no consequence. Let me tell you, it's the best place to live in Karnataka, because it's really quite bad elsewhere in Karnataka. And it's like people who live in with small farm holdings, rural artisans with very small incomes. They'll come to the city and they won't leave, not just for economic benefits, but also because, see, if you leave a village in Bijapur in northern Karnataka, for instance, I'm not pointing at Bijapur, and you come to Bangalore and you live here, you stop being your caste to a very large extent. Because in Bijapur, if you're a barber, if you're a Raju the barber, when you're doing that job, you're Raju the barber. When you step out, you're Raju the barber. When you're sitting in a restaurant and eating, people will say, hey, Raju the barber. And they'll refer to you in the street and saying, there's a barber's son, Raju. It never goes away, And they feel kind of relieved when they come here. I can see, that this is anecdotal, you could say, but, having lived for so long, having met so many people, I suggest you really take this seriously, because it's better to come to the city. The other thing is, they can actually get their children to go to school here. They feel they can get better education. Actually, this is their best shot at getting some access to the English language, because you'll get jobs if you can do some stuff in the English language. So they'll come to the city. And I think maybe I'm going to suggest that there may be some problems in the way we look at it. These are the same questions that keep coming up. Take the idea of pubs or bars shutting down at 11:30. Now, it suggests to you almost immediately that there is a moral application of policy here. Saying you should not be drinking after that hour. At least those of us who drink in bars and we are terrified of the police walking in, we have always grown up thinking that the police have a higher moral consciousness than we have, But actually that is not the case. There is a colonial law. See, the excise department wants the bottles to be sealed at 11 o'clock or 11:30 so that the government does not lose revenue. And the excise staff does not have people to raid these places of merriment, so they outsource this to the rude police of the city, who actually come with a moral tone to shut down the bars. Actually, if you take the power out of the police, especially the city commissioner, who is the most moral person in our city, actually visible policing in this city will stop to a very substantial extent. Actually, it should be taken away from them. They shouldn't have this agency at all. The second problem the police has is, they stop you on the road. See, the thing is, their idea of traffic management in the city, I don't mean any offense, maybe they're really stretched and, their incompetence levels have reached like saturation or whatever. The thing is, they stop not to facilitate flow of traffic. They stop to get you. The idea is to hide and catch you. That's the thing. So the idea of facilitation has practically disappeared from governance in the city. Now, what Dr. Ravindra is referring to, the law he is referring to, is quite a fantastic thing. Just get this idea. Dr. Ravindra, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, some of these people actually got together 4 or 5 years ago, and they came up with this audacious plan that there should be an independently elected mayor for Bangalore, or at least a mayor and council for this city, so that representatives of this city are answerable or accountable to this city in some ways. See, now what happens is, some person who really does not care whether for Bijapur or Tumkur gets elected there and comes to Bangalore and looks to make real estate as quickly as possible. That's our view of it actually. And they don't care about the city. There's a camping place where where they come, make money, and if they lose elections, it does not matter. They have enough money to come back sometime. They don't care about the city. And they don't care if the city doesn't care for them because they don't need to get elected here. And that is a big problem. The municipal administration of Bangalore is completely at the mercy of the government. This city generates, I think Dr. Pani should tell us, what 2 out of every 3 rupees the state earns. And the ministry to spend that money is not with Bangalore's representatives. They're at the mercy of state level politicians who decide what should be done. And all the solutions that are given will be summarily rejected, because if you have a directly elected mayor for Bangalore, I'm suggesting that person will be way more powerful than the chief minister of Karnataka. And no politician is going to allow that in a hurry. However, all is not lost, because the last delimitation of Bangalore's constituency is state-wise. For the state lawmaking body, Bangalore used to send 16 candidates until very recently. And when the delimitation was done by the 2001 census, by density of population, see, there's a very interesting game here. When they said, when the population has grown, you must increase representation with increased number of seats. Some people argued to the Justice Kuldeep Singh Commission that you seem to be rewarding people who are actually just like having too many children. So a state like UP, which has which is a huge population, will get more representatives simply by not being careful enough what to say. So they came up with this idea that you must freeze the number of seats in parliament or the lawmaking bodies, but actually increase representation by density. So suddenly Bangalore from 16 began to do 27 plus one rural Anekal is there. Okay, so 28 constituencies. By 2011, I don't know what it's going to be, because let me tell you what Bangalore's population growth has been. My friend Ramji Chandran, who is a very busy city person, who is now set to relaunch his city magazine, told me yesterday this story. Praxi Fernandez, a very senior bureaucrat, who was a retired bureaucrat of the city, was at that time the head of the bureaucracy. I think he was the chief secretary in 1960. Finance secretary. He summoned a meeting because they were very alarmed that the population of Bangalore had become 1 million in 1960. And they were really alarmed. They didn't know what to do. Could they manage? And they had a meeting and they had a set of programs. I don't know what came out of that, but this alarm had happened once. In 1970, the state itself had another alarm, because what had happened was that they were about to commission this great hydroelectric project in Karnataka, the Sharavati project. We were going to get, hold your breath, 2,500 megawatts of power. And what will we do with the power? We had an excess of power. So the Devaraja's government called a high power meeting, and what they did was, very sensibly, they called entrepreneurs from around India and asked them to set up no smoke industries, electronic industries, which could be ancillaries to the great public sector. In my opinion, it's one of the crucial reasons why ISRO eventually got its base here in a very solid way. Because the Pune is now a ghost town, but at that time, this urge to high-end engineering sort of came because of that wave. Now look at the idea of Bangalore, this dim view we have of the city. Take the water crisis. I'm just going to throw these ideas at you and as provocations really. Bangalore, in my opinion, has an excess of water. If you say a state has self-determination in its resources, if it can use its access to water in the ways that is best for its economics, for its population, Bangalore has an excess of water. I'll tell you how. We tap 6% of the flow of Kaveri River. Actually, if I give you those numbers, which please don't forgive me for these numbers, because nobody knows what they mean. We get 273,000 million cubic feet of water from the Kaveri. That is our share. Bangalore gets, with everything given, 18 TMC, 18,000 million cubic feet. What does that translate to? 1,400 million liters per day. That's about 150 liters per day per person, which is as good as like WHO standards. I mean, you don't need better than that. If you can actually ensure that delivery, we are fine. Now, I learned today in Mysore, it's gone below dead storage, the KRS, and they are going to pump water out. They'll bring pumps from somewhere else, pump water out from dead storage, because Mysore does not have water anymore. We have stored this water temporarily at a 1904 hydel project that we have close to Bangalore, which was done actually to supply gold power to the gold mines in Kolar at that time. So we had the first electricity supply in Asia, believe it or not. And you know, some water is there, and that's why the dam was built in the past actually, primarily. You can just say, for 10 million people, you must ensure that they get water first, and then you can use it for something else. And I think people understand that. Till very recently, we had a big quarrel that, that in Mandya, which is upstream of Bangalore, which is where the agricultural leaders are very strong, they said they will cut off supply to Bangalore because of the water sharing between the riparian states. And what happened was the central government notified this award, which was in dispute, award of water sharing, and the disputing party lost power in the local elections held just 2 weeks ago. I think we need to look at it maybe differently. There are many people in this city. This city is quite vital. Even during this recession, I think we must be doing 8 to 9% growth. We started doing 11% growth 15 years ago, and we've sustained it. And I think there's an imperative, there's a vitality of the city that is going to prevail one way or the other. And I think as people who can think and influence change should actually think a lot more positively and creatively than we're doing at the moment. Thank you.